What's up, y'all? Grateful to be doing this episode of required reading. And so we actually have three required readings for this week. I'm actually going to kick it off with a very unique one. I want to shout out a sister, Tanika Lewis Johnson, and she came to my attention through my sister Jessica Gillespie in Chicago, and it was actually sparked by a New York Times article by Alex Soth, where he was doing essentially a photography project that was part of a series the New York Times was doing. But in that work, I think unintentionally, by all accounts, believing the best, it kind of mirrored work that our sister Tanika Lewis Johnson had done of the Folded Map Project. So the Folded Map Project, and please definitely go to the website. I'll put the notes. I'll put that obviously in the link that you could check out. Is able to it captures the residential life of Chicago's corresponding north sides and south sides. So essentially, there's a north side address and there's a corresponding south side address. And as you could probably imagine, what you've seen because of just the history of segregation and redlining and all that stuff, you see the contrast between the residential life, between the houses, between the buildings of the corresponding north side and south side. Now, this folded map project is tremendous because it even goes beyond just the visual representation. It shows neighbor pairs and all these great things. And so I think it was a blessing that that I was able to see Alex Soth's work and then be introduced to Tanika's work. And so I'm going to encourage you all to check it out. Beyond the visual, I think it really shows in undebatable, clear form, just the impact of policies, present, past, and hopefully not in the future, that has kind of created essentially, even with the same name, very distinct living experiences for people in the north side and the south side of Chicago. So I want to shout out Chicago. I want to shout out Tanika. And, I also want to encourage you all to check out that work. So again, I'll have the link. Again, it's called the Folded Map Project. You can check it out. It is foldedmapproject.com. Support it, read about it, and so you'll see some of the links. I even showed it in some of my pieces. Read through, see some of the representations. So I want to start there. The second article that I strongly encourage people to read was out of Vanity Fair by our brother Ta-Nehisi Coates, and it's A Beautiful Life, Breonna Taylor. Really, really grateful that I was able to read it. Now, I know I want to jump out and explicitly say I know a number of people feel that you've read so much about her and her life, but Ta-Nehisi is on a whole nother level of his ability to communicate beautifully and masterfully and kind of bring you in. And what he was able to do in this piece is put it from the perspective of her mother. And she tells the story, and I kind of resist when people talk about humanizing as though somehow we have to affirm the humanity of someone. But the way you were kind of brought into her life, the conditions, her interests, the desires, I think it really shows perhaps even the horror, even the moments of when it happened, even beforehand, and it goes way back from the time that she was born. And so I wanna definitely celebrate and shout out to Ta-Nehisi, but also shouting out Breonna Taylor's mother, sister, or significant other in the article. So it's in the September edition. It's a special edition. It's the Great Fire, the September 2020 edition of Vanity Fair. Again, go get it. It's a beautiful, beautiful cover. And it's a beautiful article, and it's a heavy article, but beautiful in the sense that you're really able to see different notes of her life, and ultimately why we can't rest unless there's real justice made. So again, I think it's very easy to have a surface level understanding of what actually took place until you actually read this article, until you actually see the perspective from the mother, what the mayor was asking her to do, what was happening, the timetable, how very clear it was that there was real foul play here. It's really great to be able to see this and to be able to see her as really one of our sisters, beyond a hashtag, beyond the things that you've seen. So I think anyone who cares about the work should read this article from Vanity Fair. And lastly, the article. There's something actually that is is close to me because of the subject matter. It was in the New York Times Sunday, September 6th, by Kate Murphy. We're all socially awkward now. We're all socially awkward now. And in short, it talks about the impact of the social distancing on people. And this is something I've talked about for a long time, how, in our time, how we've been mediating our most important relationship building years behind a computer screen. It actually impacts our ability to relate to people interpersonally. It's like a muscle, and that muscle atrophies. In this article, it actually uses the same language, and it talks about actually research showing, that this is impacting people. But it also shows just the interesting things I know a number of people are wrestling with, where you'll be isolated. And what are some of the physiological, what are some of the psychological drivers and reasons why, even when you return or even when you're around people, you desire the connection, but you actually don't desire it. Or you desire, but you actually won't go out, or you're kind of awkward, or you're irritable around people, even though you need to be around people. This gives a really empirically driven, but also a really sobering view on the impact that this time has had on us and will have on us. And so one of the things that I do like is that it actually gives a response and things that we could do, and I think that there's practical things actually out that doesn't actually put you at risk, or put your health at risk, or put you in context. Even going around and going to the store and meeting people there, those things are important because of some of the impacts. So I don't want to steal the thunder from the article, but I recommend everybody to read this. We're all socially awkward now. And again, it doesn't speak just from extremes. It speaks from the reality of that. Built in our makeup, there may be some long-standing irreparable things that are happening. And the answer is not saying that you have to go out and not socially distance. What this is saying is that this may shift essentially your social interpersonal hygiene. In terms of how and why it's necessary for you to connect in certain ways and at certain times and a certain frequency. And I love a lot of the parallels that this one brings up. And so I think this is very, very important. I'll actually read a quote that I think is really, really important. It says, research on prisoners, hermits, soldiers, astronauts, polar explorers, and others who have spent extended periods in isolation indicates social skills are like muscles that atrophy for lack of use. People separated from society by circumstance or choice report feeling more socially anxious, impulsive, awkward, intolerant when they return to normal life. What this also means is that maybe some of the anxiety and things that you're feeling, even when you are around people, is connected to some of that isolation, which is some of the irony and paradox of this. And so, I think I would strongly recommend people read it, sit with it, let me know your thoughts. But I do think that this is relevant and powerful for everybody to capture. So again, the Folded Map Project by our sister Tonika Ta-Nehisi Coates in the September issue of Vanity Fair, capturing Breonna Taylor's life, as well as Kate Murphy's We're All Socially Awkward Now. Those are your recommended readings. Let me know how you think about it. Take care, y'all.